Have you ever been standing in line, patiently, respectfully, doing everything right, only to have someone waltz past you like you're completely invisible? You blink confused. You wonder if maybe you misunderstood something. But no, they just pushed right past you, bold as daylight, like rules don't apply to them, like your time, your presence, your place in line means absolutely nothing. That exact thing happened to my wife. She was at the front of the self-checkout line with our son, arms full, after waiting like everyone else. Then, out of nowhere, the smug, cocky guy, barely out his teens, shoved past her like it was his turn. No apology, no explanation, just arrogance in human form. And when she called him out, he had the audacity to say she wasn't fast enough, that she wasn't paying attention. That's when everything changed. He thought he was getting away with it, that he'd outsmarted everyone, that the world owed him shortcuts. But my wife, she doesn't yell. She doesn't fight. What she does is deliver the kind of petty, poetic revenge that makes you want to slow clap. And trust me, he never saw it coming. If you've ever been underestimated or disrespected by someone who thought they were above common courtesy, smash that like button and subscribe. Because today's story is one for the books. It's simple, satisfying, and proves that petty revenge, when done right, is an art form. It was just another mundane Saturday. You know the kind, where you tell yourself, we just need a few things. But somehow you end up in a crowded supermarket with your kid and a mental checklist growing by the second. My wife, Rachel, took our 12-year-old son, Noah, and headed into the local store while I stayed back home sorting the laundry. She figured it'd be a quick in-and-out trip. Just a couple essentials, milk, eggs, some bread. Not even enough to warrant a shopping cart. Just two people carrying their items by hand. But as fate would have it, things never stay simple when other people, rude people, get involved. Now, this particular store has a self-checkout section for machines lined up side by side, and a single line where everyone queues up in order to use the next available one. Fair system, right? Well, when Rachel and Noah arrived, the line wasn't too bad, just 2 or 3 people ahead. But within a few minutes, it ballooned. 10 people were now standing behind them, carts in tow, holding everything from produce to electronics. A crowd, but still moving steadily. Then, right as Rachel reached the front, literally next in line, she did something utterly human. She got distracted, just for a few seconds. Maybe 4 at most. Noah had dropped something, or maybe she glanced at her phone to check a message from me. Whatever it was brief, barely the length of a sigh. But apparently, that was enough for the hyenas to smell blood. From behind, a couple, young, early 20s, practically kids, swooped in like they were spring-loaded. The guy, tall with shaggy hair and that arrogant smirk that practically screams, I vape behind the school gym, barged past Rachel, dragging his gum-chewing girlfriend behind him like they were on some kind of red carpet. No, excuse me. No, are you still using this? Just a blatant push, like my wife and son were invisible. Rachel blinked in disbelief. Excuse me, she said, calmly but firmly. There's a line. The guy didn't even flinch. He gave a lazy shrug and said, with the kind of smugness that makes your skin crawl, well, you weren't paying attention. Not fast enough. As if speed determined your place in society now. 10 people were behind Rachel. 10. All silently judging, probably thinking the same thing. Is she going to let him get away with that? And Rachel, well, normally she's a let-it-go kind of person. She's been known to walk away from nonsense. But this time, something snapped. She didn't argue, didn't raise her voice. She just smiled, and that's when the petty revenge began. She calmly walked over to his self-checkout station, the one he stole, and swiped one of her items. Just one. Eggs. That was enough. And then she turned, walked to the next open self-checkout, and started scanning the rest of her items like nothing had happened. The chaos behind her? Oh, it erupted instantly. See, The way self-checkouts work, once an item is scanned, the system expects it to be paid for at that station. Now, his machine was locked with her eggs in the virtual cart. He couldn't remove it himself. He couldn't proceed. He needed an employee to come over, scan their badge, and cancel the item. And that's not fast. So while Rachel and Noah breezed through their scan and paid in under a minute, the smug little line cutter was left red-faced, arms crossed, try a flag down the one store clerk covering all full machines, who, by the way, was already busy dealing with another customer's barcode issue. Rachel didn't gloat. She didn't even look back. She grabbed her receipt, took Noah's hand, and headed toward the exit. But just as she pushed the door open, she heard it. "You're crazy." It was him, standing by the checkout still waiting, his face now a lovely shade of crimson, with his girlfriend scowling beside him. Rachel turned, calm as a glacier, and said with the sweetest smile, "Well, you didn't pay enough attention," and walked out. The silence from the rest of the line was absolutely deafening. 10 people, each one of them a witness to the little scene that just played out, stood frozen. Nobody said a word, not even a cough, just wide eyes and stunned expressions. They weren't just watching a checkout lane anymore. They were watching justice being served in real time. And as for him, the line cutter, the smug little rule breaker who thought manners were optional, his face said everything. That cocky grin he wore earlier, gone, replaced by the twitch of embarrassment. The reddening cheeks of someone who knows they've just been outplayed in front of an entire audience. His fingers drummed on the counter, eyes darting around for the clerk, who, fittingly, was nowhere in sight. The girlfriend beside him, arms crossed, jaw clenched. You could practically see the fumes rising. And Rachel? She didn't smirk. She didn't gloat. She didn't have to. She walked away cool as ice, receipt in one hand, our son's hand in the other, like a queen exiting the stage after a flawless performance. And in that moment, that guy learned something the hard way. It's not always the loudest person who delivers the biggest blow. It's the one who waits, who watches, who strikes when it counts, with silence as their weapon and timing as their blade. Sometimes the quietest people hold the sharpest swords, and all it took was one carton of eggs. You know, the brilliance of what Rachel did wasn't in how loud it was, because it wasn't loud at all. There was no screaming match, no finger pointing, no public meltdown. She didn't humiliate him with words. She didn't raise her voice or cause a scene. In fact, she barely spoke at all. But that quiet control is what made it unforgettable. She didn't need to curse him out to make her point. She didn't have to match his arrogance with outrage. She just stood there, composed, watching the same system he tried to abuse turn against him, all because she understood one simple truth. Sometimes the most devastating payback isn't delivered with fury. It's delivered with precision. Rachel didn't fight chaos with more chaos. She let the rules work in her favor. She didn't raise a storm. She became the calm that ruined his moment. And in that calm, she let karma sharpen its edge. He walked in thinking he was clever, thinking he was the exception to the rules. But by the time he realized what had happened, it was too late. The trap had already been sprung. She didn't need to punish him. The system did it for her. All it took was timing, a touch of wit, and one well-placed scan. Because justice doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. And when it whispers at the right moment, it hits harder than any scream ever could. If the story gave you the kind of chills that only sweet revenge can deliver, hit that like button, subscribe, and tell us in the comments, what's the pettiest revenge you've ever seen? Or better yet, pulled off yourself? We got more stories where this came from. Because sometimes the best victories are the small, deliciously petty ones.